that the song can't be a little intricate or anything like that, you can definitely do that, but you have to still work with your audience to keep it understandable to them, right? So the idea of writing a song like an essay, one of the most important things when you write an essay is, what is your thesis? What is your thesis statement, okay? With that in mind, I want to go through a couple quick examples of what an essay might look like and how an essay might make certain mistakes that make a thesis unclear, with this being like a parallel to the same mistakes happening in songwriting. And I want to do this just because I think we've all written essays before. We all know how essays work, so we can see the mistakes an essay would make probably more easily than the way a song might make the same mistakes, okay? So bear with me, this is a little silly, but here's version 1 of a theoretical essay. Last night I was watching The Voice and decided to order some pizza. I called up Little Caesars and got one large with spinach, pineapple, and black olives. Overall, it tasted pretty good. I forgot to order a Coke, so I didn't have anything to wash it down. I think next time I might try Domino's instead. So in this paragraph, nothing's really being said, right? I mean, things are being said, but there's no overall point to this. And a lot of times I see beginner songwriters, they have some interesting ideas, but there's really no overall point being made. So we want to make sure that we have a clear thesis in our song. So let's try to revise this a little bit and go to version 2. Last night I ordered pizza and got 3 different toppings: spinach, pineapple, and black olives. Spinach is really great because it's healthy for you. Black olives are great because I love how salty they are. And even though some don't like the idea of it on pizza, I really like pineapple as a topping. So now we have ideas, we have an argument, we have a thesis, but now we're saying 3 different things, really. We have 3 different theses happening. And this is another issue I see with a lot of songs where they're arguing too many things, too many ideas going on, and when there's too many things going on, nothing is being said. So let's see if we can condense this into one idea, okay? Not many know this, but pineapple is really healthy for you. It has lots of fiber and vitamin C. It tastes good too, with it being sweet and sour at the same time. I didn't know why people think it doesn't belong on pizza, because it does. If someone doesn't like it personally, that's fine, but you can't argue objectively that pineapple doesn't belong on pizza. It's really healthy and tasty. So now we have an argument. I would say our thesis statements right here. I don't know why pineapple doesn't belong on pizza, or why people think that, because it does. We have an argument, but the issue now is that these thoughts aren't really arranged in any logical way. We have our thesis happening like right in the middle, and like supporting details happening at the start and at the end. It's just kind of a structural mess. And this is another thing I see with songs, where all the things are there, but they're just kind of in random order. So we want to make sure everything is structured clearly, okay? Let's revise it one more time. And now we have it structured more clearly. We have a thesis at the start. I believe pineapple does belong on pizza. We have our supporting details here. It all makes sense in the middle. I'm not gonna be all to you. And then we wrap it up again with a thesis at the end, just like how we normally write an essay, right? Thesis, details, another thesis at the end. But there's still one last thing we need to fix, is that right now, the way it's written, all the ideas are kind of blending together. There's no annotation between the different thoughts. And if you're actually going ahead and read this through, it's just gonna kind of sound like one long run-on sentence or one long run-on paragraph. And this is another thing. Sometimes songs, I hear them and from beginner songwriters, and the ideas are there and it's structured, but you can't really hear the structure because the sections aren't obvious. It's like, oh, here are the different sections. So let's revise it one more time. And here we have indented all of our different ideas. We've added these little first, second, last, in conclusion. Now we can see the ideas very clearly, okay? Make sense to everyone? So good. So going forward, here are my 3 basic rules for songwriting, okay? A song has to have one clear, specific thesis. The ideas have to be organized in different sections. The sections have to be musically and lyrically distinct, okay? So now the question is, how do you organize these ideas? If you read an essay before, again, you probably know a very basic way of writing an essay is introduction, some body paragraphs, and a conclusion. But songs follow different structures than that. So I'm sure many of you are probably familiar with the verse-chorus form. We have a verse, a chorus with your main idea, second verse, another chorus with your main idea, a bridge, and finally a third chorus. This is a very common form in songwriting, especially pop music, but obviously very common in musical theater as well. Okay. Are there any questions on what verse-chorus form is? I guess I can do just a brief explanation for anyone who needs to know, but basically your chorus is going to be kind of the main part of the song, usually the most intense part, often has the highest notes in it, and that's where the main musical ideas are being communicated, okay? And then everything else there, I would say, is just serving and function of that. And we'll get more detail on that, but first, let's go ahead and actually listen to our first song of the night, okay? So this is the song Pulled from the Addams Family, and it follows verse-chorus form, and I've laid it out with the colors right here: blue, green, red, green. And we're going to listen to it, and I want everyone to listen to the content of what's being described in each of these sections. I want you to listen to how the lyrics are distinct in each section and how the music is distinct in each section. And afterwards, I will ask people to help me fill in this chart, okay? Just for some brief context, if you don't know the Addams Family, they're this weird Gothic family obsessed with the dark and the occult. And Wednesday, who's going to be singing this song, is experiencing some new emotions, we'll say, different from what she's used to. And also, just for some context, at one point you're going to hear her brother screaming a little bit. She is pulling him and torturing him. They have kind of a weird relationship, but that's not really important to the song. Just if you hear that, though, that's what's going on, okay? So let me make sure that you can hear this. Can you hear that? Okay, cool. So let's listen to it. You can follow along with the lyrics. And please, afterwards, we'll keep track of the three things I mentioned: the content, lyrics, and the music. Can someone volunteer to walk us through the content, like what is being said in each part of the song? I know it might be obvious, but let's just go through it. Can someone volunteer to do that, please? Like summarize.
In the chat, we have from Evan that the verse is how it used to be. The chorus is how it's changing.
Perfect. Yes, any other thoughts?
I'd say the verse is more, not necessarily downtrodden, but I guess gloomy.
Yeah, it's gloomy, and then we're kind of moving towards a more happy place, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and then just to be very blunt, literally the thesis is I'm being pulled in a new direction, right? Very, very clear, and this is love. What's going on in the bridge? Anyone want to take a crack at that?
I would say the bridge is sort of going with the theme of how it used to be, how it's changing. It's sort of like what could be, and like the future of like, if I'm this new person and I have all these like new feelings and new thoughts, it's like super like lovey-dovey, like crazy.
Yeah.
New
I would say
from Evan.
I view the bridge essentially. I would say, yeah, the bridge is just kind of, in this case, just functioning to expand on the chorus. Like, okay, I told you I'm being pulled in a new direction. Let me show with all of like these wild examples, right? So I think that's functioning. That's pretty clear how these are all functioning. Yeah, I love what Evan said about how it used to be for the verses, because I would also say the verses are kind of like maybe the negative aspects. You know, I can feel the clear and present dangers when she learns at the boy. You know, she's Wednesday sensing all these problems, whereas the verses are more positive. I like that being pulled in a new direction. Good. So, can someone talk about the lyrics? What's going on in the lyrics in terms of like scansion, which is just the number of syllables in each line, rhyme scheme, syntax, what kind of things are happening in terms of like sentence structure, any ideas?
Well, yeah, very basically the verses are like ABAB.
Right. And what about the chorus? Well, the chorus is kind of more complicated, right? And we have these triple rhymes happening every chorus, so like pursuit, root, cute, no, so, go, dark, spark, bark. So we have some triple rhymes, but I would say overall, less rhyme structure. Not as even as simple as the verse.
Paige mentioned more a consistent syllable pattern in the verses.
Yes, that's a very important thing. In the verse, it's like, I don't have a sunny disposition. I'm not known for being too amused, right? Mm-hmm. So these groups of two syllables, very even patterns, as opposed to like, I'm being pulled in a new direction, but I think I like it. There's less consistency. You can also notice that in the chorus we have, through my painful pursuit, somehow birdies took root, all the things I detested impossibly cute. So now we're kind of moving towards a triple, I would say like meter, not musically, but lyrically. Triple like lyric meter, do you hear that? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Painful pursuit, somehow birdies took root. Any other thoughts?
Paige said 10, 9, 10, 6 syllables for the verse. I don't know if, Paige, did you want to elaborate more on that, or what you meant by that?
Yeah, for like the 3 verses, it's like consistent syllables for like the first line, second line, third line, and fourth line.
Right. Thank you for carrying that out. Yeah,
gotcha.
Consistent syllables. What's going on with the bridge? Anyone?
It's much more like the verse in that it's very rhythmically structured.
Consistent syllables. I would say another important thing is that grammatically we're moving into like sentence fragments, so she's not even thinking like in full sentences at this point. She just has all these like different ideas going, which I think really helps to convey that. One other thing I want to point out with the consistentness of the verse versus the chorus, I would say that it makes sense, not just in terms of structure, but in terms of what's being said, right? The verses are laying out, here's the way I'm used to being, it's all very orderly, this is the way I live my life, and now things are getting loose in the chorus because she's losing her inhibitions, right? Consistent syllable pattern. Let's see, I think that's, I would say also, the bridge has I'd say kind of a free rhyme pattern. I mean, we still have like our end rhymes, mice, twice, but sometimes there are bonus rhymes like faces and spaces, or we have bunches and lunches. So string quartets, chia pets. So everything's much more like less organized, right? Because the thoughts are coming out, free form. Good. I think let's go ahead and move on to music stuff. So tell me about the music in these sections. Anyone?
Evan said something that I would throw into the music is that the intensity ramps up in the bridge.
Yes,
the tonality seems to rise. The instrumentalists seem to come together in a swell.
There's also literal key changes happening too. I think at least two key changes happening during the bridge going into the final chorus. So we're rising vocally as well. Any other thoughts musically?
Jerry says the length of the line halves as well in the bridge. It takes half the time. I don't know if there was anything to expand upon that, but that was the comment.
It takes half the time. Could you elaborate on that? I'm not.
Yeah. So like, if you're gonna, let's see. I guess maybe in the verses and choruses, I would say like each line takes like 2 bars, maybe, if you were to write it out.
Right.
I don't know. And then with the bridge, it's like, it's just tumbling. It's like every bar, right?
You're right. That's a
New line.
really good point. Yeah. The thoughts are coming out way fast. There's no rest in between. Just like straight eighth notes throughout the entire bridge.
Yeah.
So yeah, stream of consciousness for sure. Any other music thoughts, and even very obvious things, please shout them out.
Max has said that there's a modulation from minor to major when you go from verse to chorus.
Yes, that's huge. It's huge, which like is very on the nose, but also very clear, right? She's very gloomy, so she's in minor, and then it goes to major for the chorus. And not only does it change from keys, it changes styles too, right? We start with a very gothic style, I would say, and then we move towards like a pop style, pop rock.
With pastoral imagery as well, which I think fits in that major category.
Pastoral imagery during the chorus, you mean like with the birds and stuff?
With the birds, and you have the flute trill.
Sure. Sure. Yes. All that stuff. The flute trill. I'll put it with the chorus because it's happening like leading into the chorus. Little bird noises, all that stuff. Any other thoughts? I'll just also add briefly that rhythmically we get a bit more syncopated during the chorus, so again, more free. Other things you could even think about, the verses always start on beat 1. I don't have a sunny disposition, whereas the chorus has lead in. I'm being pulled, which is just a subtle thing, but also helps you make these sections feel distinct, right? Yeah. Good. Yeah.
Oh, this doesn't really go in the chart, but I thought it was interesting how she's saying every chorus differently and how the tone in every chorus was different. And like the first one was sort of like wonderment, and the second one was more like realization, and the third one was more like acceptance and like this journey that she goes through the song.
That's a really important thing. Yeah, because my main point I want to emphasize is that, the verses operate similarly and the choruses operate similarly, but they aren't exactly the same, right? We can all see how the choruses function are essentially the same, but they do develop a little bit, right? Like in the first two choruses, she's still thinking, I think I like it. The last one, it's a bit more, not I think I like it, but if they keep insisting, I'll stop resisting. I will stop resisting, right? So ideas do progress. One other thing I would do and point out, often if you look at pop songs, you'll notice that in pop songs, the chorus is almost always the exact same every single time. And musical theater will usually vary up the chorus a little bit, but still there's plenty of repetition with pulled in a new direction to make it be like, oh, this is the chorus. Any other thoughts? I'll offer one final thing is that notice how the last chorus really ramps it up because it actually expands it a little bit and gives us this really juicy bonus triple rhyme. And I bet, and you bet I'll bite too, do what's truly taboo as I'm pulled in a new direction, which is just a very classic thing to do at the end to make the last line feel even more inevitable, to get that rhyme going into it. And that's even set up earlier when we end with, God, what do I do? It's successfully true. So even back in chorus 1, Andrew Lippa is setting up the very final chorus. Good. I think in that case, I probably want to move on. Any last questions on this? Okay. I think in that case, just for time's sake, I'm probably going to skip ahead to, I'm going to skip over the next verse chorus song and go to our AABA song, just because I know this is a form that's less familiar for some people, okay? So, in addition to having the verse chorus form, a lot of songs are also written in this thing called AABA form, where you have an A section, you do that section again, then you have a contrasting section called the B section, and then one final A section. This is very commonly used in like early 20th century American songbook songs, jazz standards, musical theater. It really doesn't come up as often in modern pop songs, but there's still examples if you look at things like Wake Me Up When September Ends, Friday I'm in Love by The Cure. You can look at, this is not a modern song, but Bob Dylan's Make You Feel My Love. It still happens, and it still happens in musical theater as well. So I don't want you to think this in an older style of inherently an older form. But the main thing that's different is that we have our thesis happening in I would say, these A sections, so like the first main section of the form, as opposed to having a verse and then the chorus. We do sometimes have like an optional intro, but that's usually less distinct. So that's more distinct from the rest of the form than like the verse and the chorus and the verse chorus song. So let's go ahead and listen to our first AABA song, I Get a Kick Out of You. Sorry, it's pulled up. And please listen to it and think about the music, lyrics, and content, okay? So could someone walk me through the content of this? What is being said in each section of the song?
So in the choruses, in the A sections, yeah, the singer is saying how she likes this person, and it's the high she gets when she thinks about this person is nothing like any other pastime that she can come up with.
Right. Any other thing doesn't thrill me like you specifically, right? What's being said in the intro?
The intro is kind of stating like that she's not really affected by much, that she's like nothing really like gives her any really strong emotions, except for when she sees this person.
Right. Exactly. So it's really setting up the rest of the song, right? Explaining, yeah.
The intro sets up her story, sets up that her story is tragic.
Yeah, sets up a sad story, and really, I just love hearing this last bit. The only exception I know is the case. There's only one thing that makes me happy, and it's when I see your fabulous face, right? But it clarifies there's one exception. Good. And what's being communicated in the B section?
That from Evan, despite how much that she likes him, he doesn't like her.
Yeah, so that's new information, right? Like most of the song, it's a little like silly, mentioning champagne and cocaine and all this stuff, but we actually get some really important information in this B section. Like, I get a kick, though it's clear to me you obviously don't adore me. So we know this is an unrequited love song, right? I mean, literally, she's saying, the A sections are like, I don't get a kick in these sections for these things, but I do get a kick every time I see you, So basically, they're just leaping off of where each A section ended and just taking that as a jumping off point to continue the thought, right? Yeah. Oftentimes, you'll see in AABA songs, the B section operates as like the why of the song. Like, what is the really like big picture idea here? Or we'll offer like some sort of flip side, where like I don't get a kick in these situations, but I do get let me tell you about why I do get a kick out of you, So good. Lyrically, can someone walk me through what's happening in each of the sections?
Evan says in the intro that triple rhyme really builds up suspense.
Right, that's actually really, really cool because, we start off with, let's see, my story is much too sad to be told. I'm sorry, I forgot how to play that. But, but practically everything was being totally cold, so we're expecting like this just couplet, And then the only exception I know is the case, and I'm expecting da-da-da-da, your fabulous face. Then we set this tension. So when we finally get to your fabulous face, we feel like, this is the thing. That's really good. With the triple rhyme, I would say nested inside a couplet. Good. What about, well, I guess the A sections, there's actually a lot going on here in terms of rhyme. We have the third line sets up the final ooh rhyme, right? we have the first line ends with an ain rhyme. And then the, I would say the second and third lines have all these internal rhymes going on. And what's really clever is that Cole Porter knows how to build it throughout. So we start off with "me alcohol doesn't thrill me at all." Then I know that if I took even one sniff, it would bore me terrifically too. And finally, ending with a quintuple rhyme: "Flying too high with some guy in the sky is my idea of nothing to do." So he ratchets it up throughout, right? And then just by contrast, in the B section, we just have a simple A, B, A, B rhyme scheme. But one thing you can notice beyond that is that the rhymes in the B section, they become 2 syllables: see you, me you, before me, adore me. So there's even some contrast there, right?
Rhythm,
yeah.
the lyrical rhythm in the A sections are also, it's a little unclear. There's a lot of enjambment, and the lines just sort of flow into each other.
That's true. That's true.
As opposed to just the B section or the intro, which is more metered.
Yeah. Lines flow together. Other thoughts on how about music stuff?
Evan says, I noticed that they really slow down in the B section to make sure that you catch the unrequited love twist. Right.
So maybe it feels a little bit slower. It's still, in time, but it feels a bit slower at the unrequited love twist. How about the anything else music stuff?
At least for me on the intro sort of felt like a ballad to me. Like it was just like very slow, like, oh, let me like sing out my feelings, and then it became more rhythmic as you got into the A and the B section.
That's very, very common. Almost always, especially in older songs. But I would say in general with AABA songs, if you have an intro, it's going to be slower, more free, has some rubato in it potentially, and then things kind of get in rhythm once you get to the first A section. Then it kind of stays in that rhythm usually. Yeah, I don't have much else to say about the music in this. I think it's pretty straightforward. I mean, I don't want to get too technical, but we do go to different chords. Obviously, at the start of the B section, we get actually some chords a bit outside of the key, harmonically outside of the key, whereas the A section is within the key. And we can also hear it goes to melodically different places as well. Any other thoughts on this? Okay. I think, there's not much to say about this song. I mean, there's a lot to say. It's a wonderful song, one of my favorites, but I think it's fairly straightforward. At this point, I have a couple things. We could either do one more AABA song to look at, or we could go ahead and jump into the last portion where I wanted to try outlining some songs with you guys, where we could, people could come up with song ideas, some titles, and we could try outlining it together. So I guess, do people feel like they want to look at one more AABA song first, or are we ready to just jump into outlines?
Let's jump into outlines, unless anyone has objections.
Okay, let's move on.
Let's do it. Yeah, cool. So let's, I want everyone to take out their phone or paper and pencil or something, and just spend like a minute right now jotting down 3 to 5, I'd say, song ideas or song titles. And then we're going to try to take some of those and try outlining them and see how we can take these ideas and structure them, okay? So you have a minute starting now. Hopefully, if some people have some ideas, they can drop them to the chat, or we can, let me just, I'm gonna stop sharing for a second. Okay. I hate running, but I want to be in shape. Okay. You also want to drop IDs in the chat. I want more from life than what I have. My mirror never shows me what I want to see. Let's go with Claire's first idea. I hate running, but I want to be in shape. Okay, and we'll come back to this in a second. So I hate running, but I want to be in shape. So Claire, or anyone who wants to jump in, do you want to write a verse chorus song or an ABA song?
Someone else should decide.
Tell you what, we can do both. So let's say we're writing a verse chorus song first, since that's familiar with everyone. So.
By the way, you're not sharing your screen right now.
Oh, right. Thank you so much. I forgot about that. Let me just share it again. So we have a chorus. Well, we're gonna have a verse. This almost sounds like an I Want song to me, potentially. So we can have the chorus expressing the idea. Maybe I really want to be in shape. We can come up with a clever title for it later, but something in that vein, right? And that can be running out there. And then the verse can be maybe I really hate running, you know. So this is a pretty straightforward way of structuring it, you know. So it can start off opening by, you know, yeah, I really hate running. Exercise is so awful. But then the chord gets to the heart of like, oh, I really want to be in shape. This is something that's really important to me. I want to strive for it, you know. And this can be a second thing. I really hate running. But maybe we're going to expand on it a little bit and like, why do you hate running? You know, is it just because you get tired or because you get sticky, you know, and like gross?
My dad had a heart attack and died while he was running a 5K. Maybe.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it depends on what kind of song you're writing. This can be.
I feel like that's
comedic.
bridge material.
Maybe, yeah. How about you do that? So that's actually a good idea. Let's reveal something really, some more tragic backstory during the bridge. Okay. Sure. And then the final chorus will probably end with like, okay, I'm really going to do this. I'm really going to be in shape. And then maybe that song ends with, you know, you making a decision. That's one way of doing it, right? Let's just, for sake of exploring, let's use another option, you know. Maybe we're doing the same song. I hate running, but I want to be in shape. But we're going to flip it a little bit. And instead of being an I Want song, we're going to make it a comedy song. Okay? So maybe let's do a verse chorus or an ABA. So let's do our intro. Maybe the intro is like, I really, really want to be in shape. So we're going to introduce that idea first. Okay? Talking about all the ways that being in shape would be wonderful for you. But then at the very end, we reveal, but there's just one problem. And the first A is, I really hate running. And then it can become a comedy song, you know, where this is obviously a very big problem if you want to be in shape, right? Then we can go through that. Oh, that's interesting. Again, maybe a B section. Maybe the B section could be, again, expressing, you know, I want to be in shape, or maybe you're exploring other alternatives, you know, other alternatives to doing to running, you know. You could do the flip side sort of thing, or maybe you're talking about kind of the why of the song. Why do you really hate running? Maybe your dad died in the tragically, right? And then we get back to the idea again. I really hate running, and then probably really cement it at the very end. Like I hate running more than anything in the world. And then maybe the song ends with you just sitting on your couch doing nothing, right? Good. Let's see some other ideas. It's hard to be back and forth in the chat. Can someone just tell me ideas in the chat.
Yeah, so we have, you can just stop me when you like one of them. You weren't the person I expected you to be. I want more from life than what I have. My mirror never shows me what I want to see. Convincing an aging criminal to do a heist. Title, One Last Job.
Okay.
All the fish in the sea.
Okay, let's try that. One last job. Okay, Ethan, that was you, right?
It was not.
That was
okay. Jared, does Jared have any thoughts on
I don't know. So I was picturing like maybe, you know, like a 20-year-old guy who's just, you know, getting into the game, just being like, you know, like maybe the song is from his perspective, then talking to, you know, this other guy who's like really washed up, and he's like, like my career is over.
Yeah. That's really good. I like that. Has a clear want to it. So let's say we're doing, do you want to do a verse chorus song or an ABA?
Let's try ABA. Those are more foreign to me, I think.
Sure, let's do it then. Yeah. So maybe an introduction is something in the vein of like, okay, so maybe you're giving some background, some exposition, like, you know, here are the logistics of this heist. You know, there's a heist going on, right? Just giving the basic background. And then our first A is gonna be like, and you know, here's why I need you. You know, you are, and then be the first A, we're gonna talk about, you know, you're great at getting past security systems, right? Second A is, here's why I need you. You are great at distracting the guards, you know, I don't know. Maybe the B is like, here's why I need you, and it's something actually deeper, you know. Here's why I need you. I need some sort of mentor figure. Someone to teach me the ropes. Maybe little ropes. And then some sort of final A, here's why I need you. Maybe, actually, I'm thinking maybe we could put this in the final A. That's also a common thing. Sometimes the final A will get more emotional than the first two A's are. Maybe the B's are, here's why we work well together, you know.
Or could it be some explanation of like why you're not too old for the game, like remind how great you were?
Yeah, it could be a boost in confidence. It can be all those things. Many ways to structure this, right? I'd say that generally speaking, bridges, verse chorus songs, and ABA songs function similarly in terms of like structuring ideas and having some sort of more important thing in the bridge or the B section. I know we are running short on time. Let's see if we can do one more, okay? Any other ideas?
So some other suggestions were All the Fish in the Sea, When I Moved to Canada, You're Unlovable, Someone Talking About How Their Tomatoes Won't Grow, and Wish I Was My Cat.
Let's, moving to Canada, okay. You want to share what they're thinking for that song?
That was Mev.
I think Mev is away from their computer.
That's okay.
Probably.
Well, let's go and do verse chorus song, or ABA song very quickly, okay? So introduction. I currently live in the United States. Everything's hunky dory, but an election's coming up. And maybe that could be like the final little stinger at the end of the intro. Oftentimes at the end of the intro, you want some very clear thing like, oh, here's what the song's about. You want to be very clear at the end of that. So, and then maybe the first A is like, you know, I might end up moving to Canada, you know, because politics stresses me out. A is, I might end up moving to Canada for another similar reason, because I'm scared or something in that vein. B maybe could be, maybe I shouldn't move to Canada. Maybe I should stay here. Or it could be, maybe here are not just why I want to leave America, here's why Canada's better, you know? So there's lots of different ways of having this flip side here. or here's why Canada is good, you know. And then some sort of big finale sort of thing, you know, I should move to Canada, I will move to Canada, come November 3rd, something like that. And then you enter the big finish, right? Good. How we do one more of these, and then I thought I might do an FAQ if anyone has any other general questions. Any other titles?
There was Wish I Was My Cat. I'm trying to remember the other ones. Something about looking in the mirror and not seeing the person you want to see.
Let's do I wish I was a cat, or I wish was my cat.
Yeah, I Wish I Was My Cat.
Okay. So here's another kind of song you do, okay? Another popular thing you do is called a list song, where you just kind of, this is just for the purpose of entertaining. Very silly normally, but let's say we do another, how about this? What if we did a verse chorus song? And the verse could be, here are all the animals I don't want to be, you know, I don't want to be a dog, I don't want to be a toad, I don't want to be a frog, etc., you know, going on. And then the chorus gets to, but I want to be a cat, you know. I think that's already a song. Right? Aristocats, anyone? So lots of ways to structure this sort of thing. And then you could do another similar list here. Maybe now the examples get even crazier or more out there. Or whatever you want to think.
Mev says, love Aristocats. Thank you for that.
Yes. And then you could further the joke here. And then maybe the bridge is, maybe we get a little serious now, you know. Here's actually why I want to be a cat. Or maybe you start detailing your actual plans. Here's my plan. You know, lots of different ways to take this. And then final chorus, it could either be, could be big again, like we think, you know, or it could maybe be softer. Maybe now it gets a bit more emotional, you know. Everyone see how this works? Good. So I think we've gone through enough of these. Let's just go ahead and wrap this up. So just briefly, here are just some general guidelines about song structure, okay? If you're writing a verse chorus song, you want to put your thesis in the chorus. Oftentimes it'll be either at the start or at the end, sometimes both. And you want to use lots of repetition. I see so many times people writing songs and like the hook happens like once briefly, and like that's fine, it happens sometimes, but don't be afraid of like repeating yourself. It's very good for a song to be repetitive. It's really not that big a deal. It's good. You want to put supporting details in the verse, and then some sort of development of the main idea or turn or change of thought in the bridge. And then generally speaking, verses are going to be maybe longer, more complex ideas, little repetition, lower register, less intense. The chorus is going to be shorter, simpler ideas, more repetition, a bit more intense, right? And just briefly for AABA songs, intro, general exposition, setup, almost always can be slow and free. You're gonna have your thesis in the A, and for these songs, the thesis almost always happens at the end as opposed to the start, but not always. And often ends resolved. Ends resolved, you know, at the end of an A section, whereas the B section is probably going to end unresolved leading into the final A, you know. I mean, you know, go on with the song from there. And then, like I mentioned, the B is often like the why of the song, what's the bigger idea, what's the flip side, then other development or thoughts. So yeah, just as a conclusion, I think that song structure is just super, super important for writing a song. It can help an audience understand ideas much more easily. And even if you have a song that's not that catchy or not very fun or clever or anything like that, if it's structured clearly, it'll be more successful than a song that has all those other things and is not well structured. So I would say that's the end of my presentation on song structure. If anyone has any questions, we can do a quick like Q&A at the end, or feel free to message me later. But yeah, thank you so much for coming, everyone.
Thank you for hosting, Alex. This is a really interesting presentation. I enjoyed it.
Thank you. Thank you. Are there any final questions from anyone?
Yeah, Evan wanted to know, how do you work through forced rhymes?
Great question. So, basically, I would say forced rhymes, it's really twofold. One, if you have a line and your line is, I want to move down south. Okay. And you look up things that rhyme with south. Okay. You get mouth. And then you're like, oh shoot, how would I fit mouth in here without being like forced and shoehorned in here? Well, I would say the actual answer is change the first line. Instead of saying, I want to move down south, see if you can rewrite it so that way you can say, down south is where I want to go, or something like that. I think too often people will write one line and then they try to write another line to fit it, and they never just consider the idea of, what if I disagree with the first line? Oftentimes for me, I will go through pairs, like over and over again. So I'll have like rhyme zone open in one tab, the source.com in another tab, and I'm just going through pairs. Like, how can I find the many different pairs to say what I want to say? So there's a wonderful song that does an example of this. Irving Berlin's "You Can't Get a Man with a Gun," and basically every verse, or every A section you could say, is has just list of guns and a list of things that don't relate to guns. And he just connects them all, so like pistol, crystal, what are the other ones? Rifle, trifle. So make lots of lists, and you might not use all of them, but try to find the right rhyme you actually need. I'd say that. My favorite musical theater composer and or lyricist. So my top 5 are going to be Irving Berlin, wonderful composer lyricist from the early 20th century. Cole Porter, also from the same time period. Stephen Sondheim, like many people, really wonderful combination of lyrics and music. I love Alan Menken and Howard Ashman, the pair that did most of the Disney Renaissance songs, from Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast, Little Mermaid, as well as Little Shop of Horrors. And then also I'm a big fan of Mark Shaman and Scott Whitman, who did shows like Hairspray, Catch Me If You Can. They did the new Mary Poppins movie, Mary Poppins Returns. They did songs from Smash. They did lots of things, but I think they do a good job of writing contemporary styles, but also having very clear structure. Any other final questions about songwriting in general or musical theater? Okay. Well, I will say, I'll put my email in the chat one more time. If you have any questions, I'm happy to look over any songs you write, or have questions about writing in general. If you're looking to do more structure studying, I would really encourage you to go back through all your favorite musicals and see how they're structured. Some of them are much more complicated than what we've seen here, but see how they work. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Go ahead. Thank you, Alex, for being the first one to play test this. I know it wasn't as smooth as we wanted to.
Sorry about the time limit.
keep an eye out for more OMTA things in the future. Check us out on our Facebook, on our Instagram. We have a website as well, and you will see more OMTA things. Come join us next week and sit and watch a spooky musical with us.
Does someone want to drop the link to the? I will drop the link to the form right now. Hold on. You can fill it out. Tell us which musical you want to watch, which bootleg of a musical you want to watch, and then leave us your email so that we can send you the Zoom link to that. Oh, I sent it privately. Hang on. There we go. There it is. Okay.
Anyway, thank you all.
Thanks, everyone.
Have a good night. Yeah.
Goodbye.